After the firefighters who came to the call made sure that all the residents were safe, one of them noticed that a small kitten was lying on the floor, showing no signs of life. Rescuers quickly carried the unfortunate animal into the fresh air, flooded it with water and put on an oxygen mask. And then a real miracle happened. Police officers risking their own lives saved pedestrians from the reckless driver at the crossing. The tragedy seemed inevitable, and in order to save people, the crew managed to stop the path of the rushing car with their car, and after that the police still had to calm down the one who, thanks to them, may not have become a murderer. In China, the traffic control center extended the green light so that the poorly moving grandfather could cross the road. One of the drivers brought him his umbrella. Do not be annoyed by the slowness of the elderly. Once they taught us to take our first steps. This elderly man stopped in the middle of the road and looked around in confusion for a long time, and the people in the cars had already begun to get nervous and honk their horns while going around the uncomfortable pedestrian. And only one caring guy jumped out of his car and carried his grandfather in his arms to a safe place. When the children impatiently tore off the wrapping paper from the huge box, they did not even suspect that their father, who returned after a long military service, would be a surprise inside. Despite the fact that that day was not his shift and the policeman was walking along the embankment with his family, he could not remain indifferent when he saw in the water a woman who was rapidly carried away by the current and immediately rushed to her aid. The dog is struggling to stay afloat in the seething river while people hold on to each other trying to reach him. And even when it seems that the elements have practically won, they do not give up trying to help. With the last of his strength, the dog manages to get closer and people manage to grab her by the paw and pull her out of the water. In Houston, after heavy rains, a flood occurred on one of the roads, but while everyone was just driving by and cursing at the utility workers, it turned out that the efforts of one person were enough to cope with the flooded highway. Nobody likes dirty work, but fortunately there are still caring people in the world. The athlete from Kenya suddenly felt bad when he almost reached the finish line. The guy was already losing consciousness and fell when an opponent unexpectedly came to his aid. Even if he sacrificed his own result in the race, this act of his is much more important. Simon Chaprot himself did not become shy and posted photos from the finish line on Facebook where he urged other users to help each other regardless of race and religion, because all people in his opinion are brothers and sisters. This student has alopecia, condition causing receding hairline and severe hair loss. This is not a dangerous disease, but she has a very detrimental effect on self-esteem, and when she had to completely shave off her hair that she had grown for several months, she bravely fought with tears during the procedure but was finally moved only when her boyfriend, having finished with her hair, took up his own and also shaved baldly to support the beloved.